Hi, this is Anand Dharmaraj from Indimotard. This particular episode, if I was to call it that, was just to talk about us supporting or being part of the Big Rock Motorsports team that just literally swept the championships for the Indian Supercross League that just happened. So, just talking about a few things as a support team, specifically with respect to the technical aspects of things. Obviously, we had been in conversation with Big Rock when they started off the motorsports division, and we were obviously excited about the whole thing in terms of the format of it, what they're setting out to do, the kind of riding that's going to be sort of being seen visually. Of course, it's extremely appealing, probably the first time in India. But from our perspective, it was super exciting, also something of a challenge in my view. And sooner or later, I had signed up for it with, of course, Ashok and C.S. Santosh and all of them. I mean, we've been fans of C.S. Santosh, and at the same time, we've also been riding at Big Rock quite regularly with friends and family. So this came as a sort of a challenge that I think I wanted to take up for myself as well as our team and see what we could do to support Big Rock Motorsports in terms of the technical aspects of running behind the scenes for a team. So the team itself was about 8 riders, 8 motorcycles, all Kawasaki's, from Kawasaki 450s, 250s and the 85s for the kids. So one of the things that I think we had to prepare for, obviously, was, we were fortunate that these were brand new motorcycles that Big Rock has invested in. And from the kind of riders that they had picked at the auction, obviously there was a lot of confidence in terms of saying, we picked placed bets on some really good riders that they had picked up. Now, my challenge was, of course, is to figure out what all would need to be done. I mean, as much as they're brand new bikes, as a team, with riders being new, us being new to this, to the riders, is to the first and the biggest challenge, I think, which we had to sort of obviously work through, was working with everybody together and the expectation of a race event. Supporting races, as opposed to, something that is done in the garage or you have enough time, right? So one of the biggest things was time as a factor when the actual event takes place. So the event takes place over a couple of days, as in the race itself is on a Sunday, but we basically started with arriving at these venues by Wednesday or Thursday, myself and my team of mechanics. Big Rock had spent quite a bit of effort and time and resources to make sure that there were enough tools, consumables, I meant oils, etc., to make sure that we have all of what I call the infrastructure. So we work closely with Big Rock in terms of sort of putting a list together, what would be needed. So that was your basic I'm not even called basic, but it's a detailed list of what was necessary to run from a technical perspective. So which means that there's a long list of all the stuff that you would need, from the most basic tools to what would be needed, in terms of actually running a race, and literally being on the run, and you have literally a couple minutes before before the race happened, between qualifying, between practice, and all of these things that are sort of already set up in sequence. So, it was a learning, especially the first round that happened in Pune. And Moto Usher has been extremely supportive, and I called them about this whole thing. And, all of the oils that we used came from Moto Usher, from Maxima, that they supplied us. And that's the brake oil, all of that came from Moto Usher. Right, so coming back to what we had to do was, the moment we landed there, of course, these are raw motorcycles, and the riders had sort of sent us some parts, or rather they brought parts with them that they wanted on the motorcycles, because you're talking about a level at which they're riding where they're very specific in terms of what they wanted, suspension. In fact, some of them had bought suspension with them. And this was a learning for us in terms of immediately changing suspension over to what they had brought with them. Right. So that first round was the biggest learning for us. We had raw motorcycles. We needed the graphics done. My team needed to know what exactly was being done step by step in terms of keeping the bikes ready for Saturday practice. There's a scrutiny process, then there is practice, of course, and then there's qualifying. And then the race is on Sunday. So the learnings from the first round in Pune were that time was obviously critical. So we had people who were out riding. They came back and said, this is not, this doesn't feel good. I need the levers in a certain way. I need the forks set up a certain way, the suspension set up a certain way, tire pressures, lot of these things. And brand new bikes, as much as you think they're all set up, there's a whole process of making sure that the motorcycles itself are torqued down completely. The tire pressures are checked, the oil levels, oil was changed, I'm going to say literally every 20 minutes in terms of riding. So they went out, came back from practice, and we dropped the oil, because the clean oil makes a huge difference. It's very different because the way they're pushing these motorcycles at a very, very, very different level. It's extremely intent, and we had moments at which we were wondering whether we had sort of not understood enough, while also from the riders saying, this is the kind of their experience. So it was a lot of it was also building trust with the riders to say, I don't think we're capable of what is needed, specifically from each person's riding style, each person's inputs in terms of how they want their motorcycle to be set up. So what we did was we assigned one mechanic per rider, and the first round was, I want to call it a dating phase for them to understand, yes, okay, because they're trusting us, if you call it, with their life, with these motorcycles and how they're set up. And over the next, I think 2 rounds, it took us, the next round was definitely went much better in terms of making sure that the bikes were set up right. The feedback from the first round, riders went back to each of their countries. They came back with either completely different suspension that they had reworked based on their rider weight, that they're working with their tuners, etc. And also, Big Rock had invested in additional electronics, exhausts, things that were necessary to give them what they wanted, give the riders what they wanted in terms of power, etc. So it really worked well. And the first round was a huge win for us, even, from understanding that the riders really taking these bikes to the limits and finishing on the podium. And that was a huge, huge victory for us, or a proud moment for us to say, yeah, I think, the bikes are running well. They seem to be happy with what we've done. And the second round confirmed these things, and I think it built a trust over them. And finally, the last round in Bangalore really was the icing on the cake, where, at the end of it, all of us came back saying, extremely proud of what we did, and obviously very, very proud to be associated with Big Rock, and what sort of transpired in terms of sweeping the championships. So it's a challenge. There's a lot of stuff that goes into keeping these motorcycles literally at spec or above, because what you read sometimes in the manual is good enough for most average riders. But at the level that these professional riders are using these bikes, it needs a lot more, and it's a learning for us. I learned quite a bit in terms of, okay, this is the kind of stuff that this particular rider wants, and so we had charts, we had logs in terms of what each rider's specifics were in, and that really sort of helped us sort of build the trust, so that we didn't have to, the riders were feeling more confident each time around. So this challenge is sort of what we took up as a challenge. I think the results that came out turned out to be an extremely proud result that we're happy about. And we are hoping that, obviously there'll be another round, and another round meaning a season 2 of the Indian Supercross League. And Looking forward to being associated with this again. And obviously, there's a lot of learnings, while at the same time, really happy to be associated with Big Rock Motorsports on this. Thank you so much.